History's most famous fashion-forward puppy killer gets her own origin story this weekend. So let's talk about it. Cruella tells the title character's rise to fame from humble beginnings to fashion stardom and so much more along the way. The Disney live-action adaptations are a bit of an odd bunch. Some are lifeless, frame-by-frame remakes. Others are total reimaginings of the source material, and then we have movies like Cruella and Maleficent that try to take some of the most despicable villains in all of the Disney canon and reframe them as misunderstood underdogs that the audience is supposed to root for. In the case of Cruella, does it work? I'll let you know in just a second. Be sure to join me down below in the comment section. What did you think about Cruella? Was it awesome? Was it awful? Or was it just a very odd project for you in general? Love to hear your take on this one, and let's get started with the good. And right off the bat, of all the Disney live-action remakes, this is probably the one that has the most unique style to it. Feels like it was cooked by an actual chef and not an assembly line. Most of these Disney live-action remakes, they feel like chain restaurants, like Chili's. Here I am. If you go to Chili's in Texas, New York, Florida, wherever you go, you get the exact same steak. It's the same size, the same seasoning. There's no unique style distinction to it, no matter where you go. Professionally done, but no style. Cruella has style, personal touch, taste to it. It feels like it was cooked by a chef that has distinctives about what he's doing. Whether you're talking about the framing, the music, the color palette, the way the story's told, all of it has flair to it. And right along those same lines, the cast here is fantastic. Everyone is just bringing so much energy to their performances that just brings this world alive. Of course, Emma Stone is just phenomenal as Cruella and takes a character that has a lot of inherently unlikable qualities and still makes her so charismatic and fun and creates a scenario where you are rooting for a person while they're doing things that you don't necessarily agree with.
I'm Cruella.
But along the exact same lines, Emma Thompson as the Baroness in the film is the perfect foil to her as just this despicable person. She is so good at playing this condescending snob that just thinks everyone is beneath her. Then you have Joel Fry, who's kind of like the conscience of the film. He's the heart of it all that has a bit of the audience's perspective as we're watching all these crazy shenanigans. He's the guy that gets to be the voice of reason, trying to talk some sense into everything happening. Then you have Paul Walter Hauser as his brother, who's just another one of these scene-stealing comedic characters. There's just not a weak link in the cast. Everyone brings their A game.
Groovy.
Another thing I wasn't quite expecting, it has a great 70s soundtrack. And what it does really nicely is it doesn't get totally obscure songs, but it doesn't go for all the obvious cliche ones. They're just right in the middle of songs you've heard before, songs you love, but maybe not ones you've been thinking about all that much. It fits in perfectly with just kind of the style of the film and filling it out and giving each scene the proper emotion. And sometimes the music even incorporates into the sequences themselves. And finally, the film's plot was rather clever. It finds a way to tell the story you're expecting to see with this film while having all kinds of twists and turns all along the way that do unexpected things that I wasn't able to anticipate that actually surprised me as they happened and deepened the journey that we were on and added more weight to the events that were taking place. If you saw the trailer for this movie and thought, that looks awesome, you're probably going to absolutely love this movie. As for me, I have a lot more conflicted feelings about it, so let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film. And this isn't a good or a bad thing, but this is not a children's film. If you have kids that love 101 Dalmatians, I would recommend you watch the movie first and decide if it's right for them. We didn't watch it with our kids, and we don't plan on showing it to them for a while, and even if they did watch it, they would have been bored by it. This movie feels like it was designed for scene kids from 2011, who are also really into 101 Dalmatians. So it's like a Disney movie designed for people in their mid-20s who love Disney movies and also know who the Stooges are. Like, based off just looking at my Twitter feed, my fellow movie critics, they're in their mid-20s, all loved this film. I personally had quite a few issues with it.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
So let's move on to the bad. And as it turns out, the movie's biggest fault is its central premise and character. All of its lively direction, clever script, and fantastic performances are all betrayed by a central character I simply can't root for. And that's why I mentioned earlier that if you liked the trailer, you're probably gonna love this film, because I saw the trailer and I went, okay, that looks stylish, but how on earth are they gonna make me root for a puppy killer? To state the obvious, as established in all previous versions of the character, Cruella is a symbol of greed, vanity, narcissism, being a sociopath. Her last name is designed to look like the word devil.
You disgust me. How can you live with yourself?
So when you tell a story designed to reframe this character as a misunderstood punk rock rebel that we're supposed to root for, inherently, some of the audience are gonna have some problems with that in light of where she ends up. Some of you won't have a problem with that at all, but others will feel like I did and like my wife did and ask the question, why are they trying to manipulate me into rooting for a sociopath?
Wow, that was weird.
The movie's drawn a number of comparisons to Joker, and the comparisons do make quite a bit of sense. Both films cast a famous villain as the central character, both are telling an origin story, both have the central character having a bit of an arc about finding their confidence. Both are self-aware that the lead character finds their confidence by turning into a villain, but Joker plays it as a tragedy, and Cruella plays it as an underdog story about a punk rock rebel tearing down the establishment. That's a problem for me.
Why?
And all of this is why I say the movie's central character and premise betrays the film itself. Because if you just took this as a standalone story, they balance the character out a good bit more, and it's clever and it's fun and it's a nice journey. But when you do know who Cruella turns into, it actually reframes all the events that you're seeing in this film, because you have characters that are trying to like stop Cruella on this journey that she's on and kind of voicing the audience's concerns, evening things out just a little bit. But as the audience, we know down the line, she's kidnapping 99 puppies for the purpose of turning them into a coat.
I'm Cruella.
If I didn't know who she was, this wouldn't be a problem. But the entire point of the movie is that we do know who she turns into. Another issue here is that the movie gets pretty repetitive in the middle. There's just a lot of fashion shows. There's a lot of fashion show heists. Normally I think one fashion show heist, that's good for a movie. The director thought if one is good, 4 is even better.
You've made a huge mistake.
Just in general though, the middle section, to drive its point home, just keeps repeating the same beats over and over again. Real quick, before I give you my top 3, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Let me know, what did you think about Cruella? Also, this weekend, I'm gonna be doing a Disney live action adaptation bracket showdown. In fact, I need your help on this one. Over on my community tab, I've been putting up a bunch of polls so you can help me decide who will be the victor in this tournament, how things play out. Head on over to my community tab and be sure to vote for your favorites. This is a really frustrating movie for me because I think at its core it has a central premise that I'm not sure ever would have worked for me, but that's executed with an enormous amount of energy, style, and pizzazz, both in front of and behind the camera. There was a ton of talent taking a premise that I think is inherently manipulative and bringing it to the big screen. For me, it didn't fully work. For some of you, you are going to love this film. Overall, I can only go B- on the entertainment scale. We're gonna go 5 out of 10. And if you dug the trailer, you should watch this movie, you'll like it. But if you saw the trailer and thought, I don't think that's a very good idea for a movie. You should probably skip this one because I don't think you're gonna like it very much. Be sure to come back this weekend to check out my live action adaptation bracket showdown and head on over to my community tab so you can vote to help sway which movies are the victors. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.